Not me thinking that I pressed record and I didn't. Girl, very ghetto. Welcome back to my channel. I am your favorite mother of three, Bougie Vintage, and today's video is all about the Diddy scandal. Now, this situation keeps getting layers and layers and layers, and lawsuits here and lawsuits there, here, there, everywhere, lawsuit, like everywhere. Okay, it's a lot. Okay, it's going back, I want to say damn centuries at this point, but it's going back to years and years and years, and stuff that happened in the past that nobody kind of batted an eye at is now getting eyes batted at. A lot has happened even in the last 24 hours, and so I want to talk about the situation a little more, because yesterday's video that I filmed, not edited yet, I was reading the indictment and adding my thoughts and opinions here and there while I was reading it, and bringing up certain other things that have come to light since this scandal has occurred, and even prior to the scandal happening, right? And I don't know why I'm calling it a scandal, because it's not a scandal. Well, I guess it's kind of scandalous, but it's not a scandal. It's an indictment. So we're just gonna call a spade a spade. The reason that I'm sitting before you today is because the children of Diddy and Kim Porter, who has obviously passed away, they have released a statement, and so I want your opinion on this. I want to know if you guys think that this statement was released by publicists, or do you think that the children actually had a say in it being released, or do you think that they were forced into releasing this statement? The statement to me does not, minimize or even acknowledge the things that their father is being charged for, which is fair. And to me, that's good, right? They're not saying anything about that. However, there was one thing in the statement that jumped out at me, and so I'm going to read you the statement and we're going to get into it. We have seen so many hurtful and false rumors circulating about our parents, Kim Porter and Sean Combs' relationship, as well as about our mom's tragic passing, that we feel we need to speak out. Claims that our mom wrote a book are simply untrue. She did not, and anyone claiming to have a manuscript is misrepresenting themselves. Additionally, please understand that any so-called friend speaking on behalf of our mom or her family is not a friend, nor do they have her best interest at heart. So I think right away, the Combs children have been, they have blinders on, and obviously that's what's gonna happen. This is the only parents they've ever known. They have experienced a version, obviously, of their father and their mother that is not gonna be what, say, grown folk would know, right? You're supposed to stay in a child's place, is how they put it. And so I feel like they are very none the wiser. Like, they don't know the full 100 of what has occurred outside of being probably told later on in life, or finding out on the internet or whatever, because they've been sheltered from that. I don't think that the boys have been sheltered from Diddy's problematic ways, but I think the girls have been. And though this statement does come from Quincy, Christian, Jesse, and Delilah, because those are all of Kim Porter's children, I still feel like the girls don't know everything, because as a mother, Kim would not have disclosed those things to her children, that their daddy broke her nose, right? It's something that she would have had to talk to them about later in life, if she had gotten that opportunity when she felt like they were old enough, right? That's how a lot of abuse victims or domestic violence survivors, that's how a lot of it goes. If they never saw their father put hands on their mother, then they're not going to have, that opinion of their dad. So if they did a good job at shielding them from that kind of stuff, of course this is going to be their response. Our lives were shattered when we lost our mother. She was our world, and nothing has been the same since she passed. While it has been incredibly difficult to reconcile how she could be taken from us too soon, the cause of her death has long been established. There was no foul play. Grief is a lifelong process, and we ask that everyone respect our request for peace as we continue to cope with her loss every day. I think that what they're asking for is to be left out of the group chat, be left out of the conversation, because Diddy's sins are his sins, but as we know, the sins of our father falls on the children. And so you feel really bad for the kids, all of them, like his kids with her, his kids with Misa, or his child with Misa. You feel bad for all of the children involved. For Chance, you know, you feel bad for the kids, because it's just like nobody should have to witness this. But if this is just the repercussions of Diddy's long history of alleged bad behavior, then that's just what it's gonna have to be. I don't think that the kids are ever gonna love their dad any less, because it's a hard position to be in, obviously. But I do feel like by the end of this, right, they may look at their father differently, right? Especially if they're gonna end up going to court every day to sit in on his trial. You know, if it makes it to trial, if that happens and they have to sit there and watch the alleged videotapes that were confiscated from his electronic devices and otherwise when they did the raids, well, yeah, I'm gonna look at my dad a little differently too, unless he was open with me, and I'm not gonna be surprised, right? But Diddy and his lawyers have denied the allegations from the very beginning, right? Even when Cassie came forth, they denied the allegations. It's always been that. And then later on, Diddy posted a video being remorseful, but not really. You know, we could see through it, but he posted that video, you know, claiming that his actions were unacceptable and all these things. It's really unfortunate that the kids are being dragged through this, but I feel like that is why, as people, our job on earth is to be decent. Like, you have got to be a decent human being. You can't be out here, especially with all this power, money, and influence, and just doing any old thing, and then your kids end up, you know, getting this really crappy end of the stick. Because if the feds, which it sounds like what they are doing, is seizing all the assets, the kids are gonna be left with like nothing. It's a tough pill to swallow. They're not in a very good place at all. I mean, their father is locked up, their mom has passed away, and the girls are over there at a friend's house. They're under somebody else's guardianship right now. So, you know. We are deeply saddened that the world has made a spectacle of what has been the most tragic event of our lives. Our mother should be remembered for the beautiful, strong, kind, and loving woman she was. Her memory should not be tainted by horrific conspiracy theories. And so this is again where the children may not know as much as they think that they know, and they are saying that it's a conspiracy. But so far, a lot of the things that people have alleged have come to pass, have been proven to be true. So I don't know that we should be calling it a conspiracy theory, but they're really in a vulnerable place right now, and I can totally understand where they're coming from. Because if the shoe was on the other foot, if I was in their position, baby, I don't know what I would do, because this is something that you don't know what you would do if you were them. You know, you could easily say, if that was my daddy, I would be turning my back on him. But you don't know that you would actually do that if you were in that position, right? Like, I could say that. I could be like, if I found out that my dad was doing all that, and I'm a girl, like, and I'm finding out that my father is abusive or was abusive to my mom and broke her nose and, you know, abused her many of times, and she was afraid of him but never showed me that because she was trying to protect me and how I viewed him, then I would probably look at him another way. But I'm only saying that I haven't experienced that, right? And so I can only make that assumption that if I was one of them, that's how my reaction would be. I'm not them, so I can't really say that, you know. None of us are coming from some billionaire empire and finding out that our father was participating in freak-offs and drugs and this and that and all these things. Like, it's a lot for them to digest right now. So this statement, it makes sense that they would put it out, but at the same time, I think they're better off not saying anything and just letting the chips fall how they do. The other thing is, the message that they're putting out sounds like they are addressing Al B. Sure, who I did mention in the other video, based on Al B. Sure's stance and what happened to him throughout the years, where Diddy is concerned and where Kim is concerned and Quincy, and all the things that went into that situation. Maybe Quincy needs to pull his dad to the side and say X, Y, and Z. But Al B. Sure has been saying these things for years and years and years and been trying to get something done. Even if we look at Shine and that situation, how could you as a stand-up individual allow somebody to take the rap for something that you did? And Shine obviously held it down, right? But in a recent post, we saw that Shine said Diddy ruined his life, but he forgave him and moved on a business level and did what he could do for Belize through his connection to Diddy. Diddy owed him at least that. And so again, this is something I talked about in the last video, where the woman that was shot at the nightclub has always said it was Puff that shot her and not Shine, despite the fact that Shine went to jail or prison for it. So Diddy is not necessarily somebody that is, you know, truthful or not manipulative. Like, we can see his character, but we didn't live in his home. And if he's a master manipulator, which we are learning that he is, then of course his children would be also fall into the category of being manipulated or love bombed in a way. I actually had to take a phone call, so I have no idea where I was in the video. But we were talking about Diddy's children, so let me go back to their the post. We ask that everyone please respect our mother, Kim Porter, and hold her legacy in high regard so that she may rest in peace. It's what she deserves. And so people are arguing this, is she really resting in peace, if we don't get to the actual rooter and the tutor of what happened. And so obviously from the time she passed away, it was speculated that Diddy had done something. They ended their note with, "We love you and miss you, mommy, Quincy, Christian, Jesse, and Delilah." And so there was a part in their third paragraph which stated there is no foul play. When they said no foul play, obviously because of everything that has swirled online, we can't think for ourselves, right? Like, we are pretty much told what to think. If you're on social media, you're constantly being told what to think. And so it's hard to draw conclusions, but you also have to pay attention to what is going on around you. You have to pay attention to the fact that there's too many coincidences and too many links to a certain individual, right? And so the coroner that had originally done Kim Porter's autopsy, he's a famed coroner in Hollywood, and he in fact handled Whitney and Michael. What we know is that Michael Jackson's death was deemed a homicide, and so the initial report was deferred. Then it was listed as the lumbar pneumonia. However, after he was commissioned to reopen or to further examine Kim Porter's death, he turned up dead. That's just strange. I know people die every day, but this man has been doing this job for 17 years, and you know, he's 73, and he wound up dead when he was supposed to go look a little deeper into Kim Porter's death. When that happened, people automatically started pointing the finger at Diddy for not only Kim Porter's death, but also the coroner's death. And so maybe if Al B. Sure hasn't been talking for so long, for so many years, trying to warn people and get the attention of the authorities involved and all these things, maybe if Al B. Sure is somebody that has a connection to Kim through Quincy, right, and to Diddy through Quincy and Kim, if Al B. Sure wasn't so close to the situation, I think that maybe a lot of people wouldn't pay attention to the things that he says and to the things that maybe flow or start to add up, that people are like piecing together these puzzle pieces to make this Diddy situation make sense. Maybe if Al B. Sure wasn't so close, it wouldn't be such a big deal. But because Al B. Sure is actively saying, nah, something's not right. I almost died. I was in perfect health or whatever it was. And I almost died because, and my belief is that this person knew that I was coming out with my tell-all book and tried to take me out. But by the grace of God, I'm still here to live and fight another day. And so based on everything that we've heard and learned, and even the Lil Rod stuff, obviously Diddy is not just a regular person that lives a regular life, as a billionaire. Obviously his access and his money and his privileges have allowed him into certain spaces and have also allowed him to do things larger than life. And if you have those things and you got some kind of issues inside that are going untreated, it's going to create a monster. And that's just the reality of it. Especially if you come from nothing and you build this huge empire and you realize you can get this and that and the girls and the boys and the cars and the clothes and all these things, eventually something is going to catch up to you if you're just living a double life. Like in the public, you're one way, and then behind closed doors, you are doing the freak offs and you're flying prostitutes across state lines and even internationally to do certain things and force people into forced labor and force them to do stuff with other people that they don't want to do. And if they don't do it, they're gonna be abused. Like, that's not normal things. Like, that's not the everyday average person story. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's a hard pill for these kids to swallow, and that's completely understandable. I think that it's important for them to kind of back off and stay out of the way and even the limelight for a little bit. Their lives are upside down. Like, they're literally upside down, and they're so young. And it's like, they can't help the hand that they were dealt. They didn't get to choose who their parents were or are. And unfortunately, their biggest support system, their mother, is no longer with them. And now they're dealing with this heavy, heavy burden of their father being exposed in this way. And it's like, it's not like a situation where he's exposed for, I don't know, something not so grand. It would be one thing if Diddy was accused of, like, maybe just being bisexual, right? And everybody's like, oh my God, right? But it's not just that, because that would be one thing for them to deal with. But like Kylie and Kendall, they survived that kind of shock of Bruce to Caitlyn, right? That would be another thing too. Like if Diddy then became Diddy. I don't know what the freak is saying, but I'm just trying to give an example, okay? Don't fight me. But like, I'm just saying, like, if that was the allegation, okay, big deal. Who cares? Welcome to outside of the closet. But we're talking about bisexual. We're talking about being abusive, dangerous, a drug addict, a drug dealer, guns, have serial numbers rubbed off. Like, it's a lot for these young kids to have to deal with. Even the older kids. Like, I don't know what Justin and Quincy and Christian have necessarily been exposed to, but obviously they've been exposed to enough. Once they became probably 16, they were even younger. I don't know. They were probably exposed to a certain lifestyle, because remember, Usher and Justin Bieber were young boys around Diddy. So why would he, make it any different for his sons? He introduced them to a certain lifestyle. We don't know what they've seen and how they've processed that, because sometimes in these situations, the kids don't even know that they're being traumatized. They don't know, or they don't realize until way after, and they go into therapy, and the therapist is like, none of that's normal, baby. We're gonna have to do the work to undo everything that you learned or thought you knew or whatever. Hopefully it doesn't affect them super negatively long term, but I don't see how it wouldn't. And so just as I was saying in the beginning of the video, they keep adding layers and layers and layers to this. 50 Cent and Netflix are to produce a docu-series about Diddy's sexual abuse, racketeering, violence, and allegations, which means that there's going to be, just like in the R.Kelly documentary, people that are like, yes, this is what happened to me, this is my receipts, yada 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 yada. It's messy because unfortunately nobody is keeping his kids in mind. I at least pray and hope that if they are going to do this docu-series, they do it right and the victims are handsomely compensated for sharing their stories, and they don't just make a bunch of money off of the victims and then just say, you know, all right, have a nice day. Like, thanks for sharing your story. We have made billions. Y'all are getting chicken scratch, and that's just it. Like, no. 50 Cent and the director, Alexandria Stapleton, said, "This is a story with significant human impact. It is a complex narrative spanning decades, not just the headlines or clips seen so far. We remain steadfast in our commitment to give a voice to the voiceless and to present authentic and nuanced perspectives. While the allegations are disturbing, we urge all to remember that Sean Combs' story is not the full story of hip-hop and its culture. We aim to ensure that individual actions do not overshadow the culture's broader contributions." I don't even know what hip-hop has to do with this situation. When they asked Method Man that the other day, I said, what? 1 plus 1 not equal to 2? There's no need to be asking him about the end of hip-hop. Like, who is saying that? Diddy was never, to me, the mecca of hip-hop. Like, he was never that. Like, he don't even rap. He's not a rapper. Like, he's not hip-hop. He is maybe a hip-hop, like, he's a part of the culture, that for sure. Just like R.Kelly was a part of the R&B culture and the hip-hop culture. But they don't make or break hip-hop. Like, Diddy going down doesn't break hip-hop unless, hear me out now, unless when they start rolling the tapes, we see other familiar, very famous, very rich, maybe even billionaire faces breaking somebody down in 4K, then maybe, yes, hip-hop is gonna be, you know, a completely different genre. Maybe it's gonna actually open doors for the rappers who can't be themselves because they've been hiding, because hip-hop doesn't really receive certain lifestyles, right? And so that could be the case. This could be a win for hip-hop, you know? But as far as it being like detrimental to hip-hop, I don't think so. I think that Diddy is Diddy, and anybody else that was associated with him or participating in these things with him, that's between them and the good Lord above, and they're gonna have to all figure that out and deal with that. But I don't think that it affects hip-hop as a whole. Hip-hop was around before Diddy came into the picture, so it doesn't make sense that once Diddy is out of the picture and rotting in a jail somewhere, that hip-hop would also be done as we know it. Hip-hop has evolved and changed so much over the years that I don't even understand why that would even be a part of the conversation. But it is what it is. I think the hardest part about producing a docu-series like that would be how many people are willing to come forth. But now that Diddy's in the prison and cannot intimidate any witnesses and can't allegedly, you know, blow up anybody's car from where he's at, well, he might be able to pull some strings, child, but there's only so much you can say on a jail call now, okay? So perhaps, just perhaps, people feel a lot safer now that he's away and tucked somewhere, because I tell you, the amount of allegations that have come out after the fact is crazy. What I find very interesting too, though, is that Dawn Richards, her allegations came out, and then New York South District situation came about. Ever since Cassie said what she said, he's been hit back to back. Now, there's obviously a lot of rumors and like conspiracies about why this is happening to Diddy. They're saying he missed Illuminati payments. He pissed somebody off that's like above him, obviously, somebody Caucasian. He just barked up the wrong tree somewhere. Oh, the lawsuit against DeLeon Tequila. Like, they're saying a whole lot of things. But the truth of the matter is, I think that people were terrified to speak prior to, you know, Cassie's win. And once she won, and obviously probably also turned her stuff over to the feds, her proof was a lot. And I think that people got more comfortable and bold and decided, you know what? Cassie's situation was my situation too, and I want justice. And that is, to me, what is going on right now. But Diddy can't catch a break, girl. He can't catch a break. I don't think that he really needs to catch a break, because he's been catching too many breaks throughout his career, all these decades of being in this position of power and allegedly having this reign of terror over these people from the 90s onward is just insane. The crazy part about this situation is, in the eyes of the law, you are innocent until proven guilty by a court of law. But sometimes the court of public opinion will trump that, but also influence that. Because I would say that technically he's not gonna get a fair trial, because we have all already been kind of waiting for this day to come, because we've been hearing things for years. And so once they finally arrested him, we weren't surprised. I have spoken about it in a previous video, and from months ago, because what happened was, right before Cassie came out with her lawsuit, we had been on Discord, and Discord, rest in peace, girl, fun while it lasted, but we had been on Discord, and literally the day before the allegations came out against him, we were on there, and I had sent a voice message to the chat. We were talking about Keke Palmer and Usher, and that's how it got brought up. Because Usher was brought up, I had sent a voice note to the chat saying, and let me tell you something, because Diddy is never gonna beat them allegations. That's all I said, baby. That was all I said. The next day, lawsuit. And we were gagging. Like, I really have to watch my mouth. You guys don't understand. Like, I can't just be saying any and everything. But, like, I literally said Diddy's not going to survive the allegations. And 24 hours later, Cassie had dropped. So, in my spirit, I don't feel like Diddy is going to be getting any kind of, you know, he's definitely not going to be, they're not going to bang the gavel and say the man innocent now. It's not given that. Whatever happened to R.Kelly and Bill Cosby and now Diddy is just his turn, I guess. I don't know, but nothing, and this is for everybody, and anywhere you are in life right now, nothing that is done in the dark is going to stay there. It's going to get brought to light eventually. You cannot go through life doing stuff in the dark. Like, you just can't. And there's certain things that you cannot write based on the allegations against him, which is where my next statement is coming from. It's almost like this is who he is at his core, and because this is who he is at his core, there's no changing him, there's no healing him. You know, I think sometimes the best place for somebody to be is locked up, because that's just where everybody can be kept safe. Obviously, there's that argument of, you know, this person or that person was a willing participant and yada, 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 yada. But if you really understand how abuse works and how trauma works, because if you just, you know, if you were just maybe working in the Combs enterprise and you witness somebody else get berated or abused or forced to do something they didn't want to do, and you just know that you didn't want that to be you, but you also need your job, you're going to be between a rock and a hard place. And nobody can really say, oh, I would have done it this way, or this is what I would do, because when I filmed my video yesterday, that was my attitude. But then I got to the next paragraph of the damn indictment, and I was like, oh, maybe I wouldn't have been able to be Captain Save-A-Ho. Like, I thought I would, but like, you don't know the level of intimidation that the people were under. And so we can't really pass judgment on some of them, but there's big bodyguards that are definitely in the wrong and should be going to prison with Diddy. It should not just be Diddy, and that's, you know, a hill I'm willing to die on. It should not just be Diddy, just like it should not just be R.Kelly, and just like it should not just be Harvey Weinstein, and it should not just be whoever the frig else has been participating in this weird Hollywood demonic behavior. That being said, I want to talk very briefly on the Dr. Umar opinion about it, because Dr. Umar had compared the situation to Playboy Bunny and Hugh Hefner and all these things, or the Playboy Mansion and what was going on over there. However, I disagreed with something that he said, which the tone of it was like, why did nobody make a big deal out of Hugh Hefner when he was essentially doing the same thing? Freak-offs. But I have to beg to differ here, because if you watch the docu-series about the Playboy Mansion, which I think is called Secrets of the Playboy Mansion, something like that. If you watch the docu-series, it's not that people never spoke up. It's that nobody seems to care when women are saying, this is my story. Because the women in there were alleging some things, and Hugh was dead already, so he can't be arrested at this point. Maybe they just didn't feel safe to do so at the time, or they felt shame, or they felt like it was their choice to do these things. But there was one story in particular on there, child, I had to turn it off, and I haven't finished watching it because the episode that we were on, they were talking about how they was hunching the dogs. They're hunching the dogs, in my Trump voice. They're hunching the cats. Not okay. And how that was normal in that life over there, and they had forced this one lady who was literally fallen out of the limousine drunk. They forced her to do that with the pet. And I said, what? My stomach was turned, girl. I said, oh no, I know that man he is child burning. Cause what? The dogs? The animals? Are you serious? Like, what? They were doing all kinds of freaky stuff over there, and that's not even freaky. That's just nasty. That's wrong. But Dr. Umar's not wrong in terms of Hugh Hefner and Diddy got the same thing going on. He's not wrong. I don't know that nobody has mentioned anything about animals over there. That is not very hip hop. I don't know what to say about that. I disagree with Dr. Umar when he says that, why did nobody make a big deal out of Hugh Hefner and that stuff. Stop comparing these people. Stop comparing Harvey and Diddy and whoever the freak else, because there's too many of them. Woody Allen, girl. Like, stop comparing all these people. It's not about comparison. They all need to be in the same place, under the damn jail. And I'm pretty sure Harvey Weinstein is in jail, so I don't know why everybody keeps bringing him up. Where is Harvey Weinstein?
You'll need to unlock your iPhone first. There's no one named Harvey Weinstein who shares their location with you in the Find My app.
I would hope not. Yes. Harvey Weinstein was sentenced to 23 years. Is that long enough? Maybe not, but he was already old when he went in there. He's serving his time, so I don't know why we keep bringing him up as like well, what about Harvey Weinstein? He's in jail! So why are we talking about him? He gone. Talk about the people that are not locked up yet. You know what I mean? Like, even, what's his name from that 70s show? He's locked up too. He got Danny Masterson or whatever his name is. He got time. A lot of time. These people, they're locking them up as they should. So I don't really understand why everybody's like, what about this person and that person? Stop comparing them. If you're comparing them, then understand that Harvey Weinstein is in prison. And if you're wondering why, where's his documentary? Well, maybe, and this is just my thoughts, maybe black people don't give a rat's tail shake about Harvey Weinstein because he's not black. He wasn't somebody that we ever looked up to. I never even knew who Harvey Weinstein was until the allegations about him came about with the Me Too movement. I never knew who that man was, so why would I expect I don't care to watch a documentary about him, but if they drop one off, of course I'm going to watch it, because I'm sure it'll be a big deal that it's out. But with the Diddy situation, like, you don't want to be an enemy of 50 Cent. You don't. First of all, the man can't lose, number one. But number two, he is a professional troll. And so he's been trolling Diddy this whole time. But him producing a documentary with Netflix, by the way, so it's going to be major, is just another blow for Diddy. And the R.Kelly documentary was obviously viral, right? And so obviously this one's not going to be any different. But the reason that there is such a upkick in the headlines surrounding these people is because of the culture. We know who Diddy is. We've been following Diddy since Bad Boy, right? We grew up watching Diddy. We didn't grow up watching Harvey Weinstein. We might have watched his movies, but we didn't know nothing about him, child. But with Diddy, he was a big deal in most black households. So that's why, and R.Kelly, like, that's why we pay so much attention to it, and that's why it makes the headlines the way it does. But also because the allegations against them are so egregious and crazy. Some of the people that have had these allegations made against them, Weinstein was charged with 11 counts of RAPE, forcible oral copulation, and SEXUAL battery, okay? That is a lot different than what Diddy has now been charged with, and even what R.Kelly was charged with. R.Kelly was charged with child producing and receiving that, okay, enticing minors, sex trafficking, kidnapping, forced labor, racketeering, obstruction of justice. And this is similar to Diddy's charges, minus the underage. Actually, I don't know, but that is why the list of things that they're charged with is much larger and greater than Harvey Weinstein's. But if you have ever seen the movie Law Abiding Citizen, wonderful movie, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove in court, right? And so if they can't prove Harvey Weinstein was involved in or with child, anything with minors or anything like that, they can't charge him with it. Whereas with R.Kelly, it's on the videotapes. Some of the criminals are smarter than others, and that's just the reality of it. Harvey Weinstein probably wasn't making videotape. Why would you do that? That's crazy. One thing we know about criminals and their, if you watch any kind of crime shows, what they do is keep memorabilia. But in Diddy's case, they're alleging that he would use it to manipulate further or have something on somebody so that they are forever at his mercy. That's a scary man. Now, when I was reading the indictment yesterday, I did not see anything that listed underage girls. However, I have seen that online that there is that part of the indictment, but I read the 14 pages. So unless there's another 14 pages somewhere else, or there's like an extra set of something somewhere else, maybe I read the wrong thing, girl, I don't know. But unless there's something else that specifically lists underage girls, I didn't personally read that. But even on this Forbes article, so I would say that that's a pretty credible source, they have pretty much gave us a nice timeline to go through. And so if you guys want me to share with you guys this, I will sit here and read it for you. But it lists February 26th, and it talks about Lil Rod's allegations. And Lil Rod's allegations is the first time we hear about underage girls. Now, after that situation happened, the women that were photographed in the videos or in the stills of the footage from, I think, the boat, they came forth and said, I'm not underage, I'm 30 plus, I have a child, like, I'm not an underage girl, blah 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 blah. And so, you know, it kind of got debunked in that way. But in situations like these, there's so many people that are going to be either linked to the situation, and even if there's not underage girls, we know that there are underage boys, allegedly, because we have the alleged Justin Bieber situation, and we have young Usher at Flavor Camp and being exposed to certain things. So even if Usher wasn't just wrestling Diddy for the cornflakes, as Diddy put it himself, Usher was still exposed to things that he should not have seen at his young, I think, 14-year-old self, and that was at Diddy's hands, and Diddy was an adult. That was just not okay. And so to me, that is grooming. So when Usher turns around and brings Bieber over there, product of his environment. That being said, when we look at R.Kelly's situation, and then R.Kelly's brother who participated in the documentary, right? R.Kelly went a completely different route in terms of the grooming than his brother did. His brother went and did the healing and, you know, didn't continue the cycle, whereas R.Kelly did. So, you know, it goes one of two ways. And so I don't know, I feel like Usher is kind of in the middle, and it makes me wonder if Usher was still feeling maybe intimidated by Diddy as to why he would have brought Bieber over there anyway, and Usher maybe not wanting his business out there, because he has children now. You know, Usher's image has been so clean his whole life. He can't afford to have any alleged tape of him coming out. But the thing about that too is the tapes to me is weird, because if Diddy's in the tapes, it doesn't make sense that he would release the tapes himself, exposing somebody else. So it's almost like a brain, he's messing with their heads. However, a lot of the people that have alleged things against Diddy have said that he sits in the corner watching it go down as he tells them what to do, and he's doing his own thing alone, enjoying the show. We don't know what has gone on in any of the rooms of that man's house, but the feds do. The feds do. So yeah, that's that on that. I think the last thing, because this video is getting long-winded and it's like, should I just post this one and not the other one? You guys can tell me. I'm gonna edit this one first, and if you guys want me to actually post the other video, let me know and I'll edit it, because I feel like I've covered some of the same things but not really. I think in the other video I did mention Meek Mill looking crazy, because like, why are you offering $100,000 for people to find out how his name is being attached to Diddy, sir? The feds are doing that for you. Like, you don't need to be doing all that. Like, this is what I'm saying. This situation is multi-layered. Okay, that's why I never made a video right away, because as much as we've been keeping up with it, I didn't want to have to sit and make 10 videos, because every day something else is happening. There are women coming forth from 1991 and maybe even before then to present day, girl, and it's just like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know how the feds plan to use these people as witnesses in, you know, in this indictment, but we shall see. I have always been of the opinion that they did need to reopen Kim Porter's autopsy. Kim Porter was buried, so if they do want to exhume her body and do further investigations, they very well could, but that is very traumatic for her family to have to even know, or they may not have to even give permission though. Like, if the feds say pull that lady out of the ground, that is what is going to have to happen. Hopefully that's not gonna be the case, and you know, people close to Kim, if they feel like, or if they know without a shadow of a doubt but can't prove it, that, you know, Puff is indeed the culprit and it wasn't pneumonia, maybe them seeing him go through what he's going through right now is giving them peace and closure for Kim. And, you know, they can leave well enough alone and not have to exhume her body to do a further autopsy in light of what is currently going on. The whole situation is just so messed up. You couldn't wish this, or wouldn't wish this on like your worst enemy. I love seeing justice be served in this way. I think that abusers need to be put in jail so that they can't, or prison, so that they can't get to anybody else. I think that a lot of people know that their day is coming, and people that don't want to be associated with the situation are unfortunately going to be called upon, and we're gonna watch it all go down. And so I guess we gotta just keep our eyes peeled. What are you guys thinking and feeling? Let me know in the comment section below. I love you all so very much. Shout out to y'all for rocking with your girl, and I will definitely see you in the next one.